All right, what is going on, everyone? And welcome back to more Black Desert. So in this video, I wanted to talk about the whole boss Blitz system. It came out with the new region of the Land of the Morning Light. And what I wanted to do is show you my setup and things you guys can do to improve. And so basically, let's start off with what is this and what is it all about? So if you go into your Black Shrine tab, it's basically, if you've done the story, this will all make sense because each one of these is like a chapter of the story where you fight a boss, right? And there's 10 difficulties from 1 to 10, higher being the more difficult version. And so basically what the concept of this is just like, if you've ever played any other MMO, it's just like bosses and then you beat them, you get rewards kind of stuff, right? So the reason why people come back are because like you get the cool stuff from them, you get materials for whether you like grinding, life skilling, and just overall progression. There's leaderboards and everything for all of these as well, so that's something to compete with. Even though some classes are just straight up better than the others, it is what it is. Hopefully Perlibus actually looks at all of these rankings and looks at, one, which bosses are harder for some classes than the others, how can they tweak it and everything, and two, there's a weekly lockout of 5 like bosses that you can challenge on like any difficulty 5 times a week, and they only count when you complete them. But I think 5 a week is a little too low because like what, you come out with an entire region and you only allow people to do 5 per week. I know the rewards aren't even that good. Like most of the time, most of us are going to get like terrible rewards. So I think they should increase the weekly boss lockout to like 10 a week. So that way everyone can experience like at least one of every boss every week and then progress further. So the way it works is like, if you do like, you could do any boss on any difficulty, but you have a limit of 5. So you, like for example, this boss, you could do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that's all your 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so anyway, yeah, that's one of those things where I just like, you come out with a new region, you want people to play it, but then you give them a low cap that you probably max out in like 2 hours. And so I just wish they would increase that. It would be nice. And so yeah, things that people can do to progress and get better at it. Let's start with the beginner things, because first of all, your gear in the Black Shrine, or like when you're fighting the bosses, it matters, but it doesn't matter as much compared to what you get. So there's this thing called the auras and the light orbs. People are going to be wondering, how do you get them and what do you do and what do they mean? So first of all, right now we have a total of 5 light orbs, and I think Korea has 7 light orbs. So you see how over here they have 3 pictures, like the sun, moon, and like a mountain, right? So if you're fighting a certain type of boss, you want to put your light orbs into the color or the like icon with the boss you're fighting, and then you get a bonus. And then you can reset your light orbs. They get reset to you. You put them into the same boss that you're fighting. And so they give you huge stats. And that's where most of your stats comes in. And then after that, like after level 5, it's just a skill issue for the most part. Some of the bosses are a little bit tedious to the point where I think it might actually just need to be toned down. And like even the top players, I think the highest most people can beat things are on difficulty 7 out of 10. So yeah, after that, you get a choice of like each orb adds 3 AP or 3 DP. Honestly, those stats are irrelevant. Why are they even there? I'm glad that it helps, but yeah, anyway. So this is basically where the bulk of your stats are coming from. So you get, with 1 orb, 50 to 100, and then 6 orbs, you get like 300, 600. So if you're struggling and you're wondering why, it's probably because you have the orbs in the wrong thing. And so how do you get them? So by default, you don't have any of these 5. You do the story, complete the Land of the Morning Light, like quest line, you get 3 of them. And to get the other two, I believe you go to suggested, and then there's going to be something that's like, I don't know where it is because I've already done it, but it's in one of those things where it's like some sort of orb, right? And so you just basically complete something on difficulty, I think 3 and 5, and then it'll give you 1 orb each, and then basically you just do that. So anyway, I kind of want to find it just to show you, but either way, it'll show you, it'll say like orb or something, a light orb. Just find it there. So how do you get better, and how do you improve on what we already know? So up to a certain point, buffs do matter. So like, let's say you grind normally, you probably have a lot of stuff. I think the general consensus right now is the exquisite cron meal, because these bosses are not considered monsters. They're considered humans, I believe. I think most of them are human, and like, I don't know, it's just monsters aren't it. But anyway, you kind of want a lot more extra stats, considering you would fight these like you would in PvP, more or less. So what people do is cron meal and then like full other buffs. So things I would recommend are probably the spirit perfume elixirs if you have extra of those, perfumes. And this is getting kind of more into the late game or the try hard part of it, but we do have elixirs. I know most people just use giants if you're like just getting into it, because it is very expensive to like practice on it and everything. So most people just use the giants. 2 mil an attempt, easy. I do have a video on what I use for PvE and PvP elixirs, so I'll leave that in the description if you're interested. Basically, if you want to go above and beyond and just min-max like the best stats you can get, I do have a video so you guys can see which elixirs I use and which ones might be good for you for bosses and everything. So I'll leave that in the description. And yeah, this is more of the like try hard part of it, but some basic things that you guys can get into are having different artifacts and light stones. And your gear here is like, it's good, but it doesn't matter as much. So I wanted to point out a few different crystals that I use and artifacts. So first of all, what light stones and artifacts do I think are good? So on the screen, I'm going to put 2 different ones that I personally have tested. So depending on how your playstyle is, I personally use target openings, and I've seen a lot of other people use vicious shadows. Also, because one thing I will say is getting a strike crystal is very difficult. And if you don't have a strike crystal, I would still go the target opening route, except instead of the strike, you get something like back attack damage or down attack, some other thing that your class probably uses more. And yeah, so generally the whole concept is don't get hit, do more damage. I know that's a meme, but it really kind of is. So those are 2 things that I would recommend using. And obviously, if you found something that works for you, just use that. But the way it works in the higher level bosses is that there is a enraged timer. So if you've ever played other games, like if you can't beat it in a certain time, it just one-shots you and you reset. So in this case, I think more damage is the way to go. I know people have always done more defensive stats and everything. The sad truth is, I think defensive only goes so far, and I've seen people with like more gear than I do, and when they do the higher difficulty ones, like it doesn't matter if you have like 1000 DP, like 400 plus the 600, and that you get from the auras. If you stand in like a bad thing, you're just getting one-shotted. So the real truth is it's a skill issue kind of thing, and do you know the mechanics? So more damage, always good. I would choose them over defensives. We talked about elixirs, artifacts, light stones, anything that gives you more damage, and different kinds of buffs that you could use. So yeah, I guess let's show you what buffs would I recommend. So if you guys have a tent, you guys know what tent buffs are. This is one thing that a lot of people don't actually use. I've seen people just skip it entirely. Is church buffs, and it's just because it's kind of out of the way, to be honest. But in every town, there's probably someone that gives you church buffs, which is like the attack and the protection ones. So you want to make sure to give this. It's like for 2 hours, 6 mil. That's very good for practice. And then any other house buffs you may get that are like 30 minutes for crit increases. Anything that just gives you more stats in general. So I talked about all the foods. If you just want to go the very casual route and you're just doing this for practice, we talked about this. Elixirs, the blue ones, are definitely meant for tryhards and people who take this very seriously for competitive. But if you were just beginning a Giants draft, I wouldn't really use Beast, but I mean, it's not like the word, it's better than nothing. But I would recommend a Giants just because it's just overall, like, this one's more for grinding and this one's more for PvP. And so that plus some sort of perfume and everything. But if you are technically going off and popping millions of silver worth of elixirs, I have a video. Just go check that out. But aside from that, hopefully you guys will do better than I do with Dark Knight in the boss rushes. And if any of you, or if any of the developers are watching, please just make the boss blitz more than 5 a week. You like make it 10 a week, for example. That's fine. That way it allows people to practice on at least every boss at least once a week. And the rewards, like, it's not that good. Like, yeah, you can get a flame or a Dawn's glove, but realistically you're not getting it, because if you look at it right now in the description, like, some of the best crystals you can get are at the high difficulties. And so, like, most people, I think the top of the line people right now can only clear Calamity 7, which is basically like this. So each one is a difficulty. When someone says like C7 or something, that means a difficulty. And yeah, unless they do something important, chances are you're not getting something good. So I think after a while, in my opinion, the best things you could do are probably at around like C5 to C7, somewhere around there. Once you learn it, just keep practicing like 5 to 7. That's where you get like the mid-tier rewards that are actually like you have a chance of getting some good stuff. And so the higher ones at 8 and 10, I don't think anyone on NA has done an 8 yet. The hard truth is, like, there's a time limit, and we just don't have enough stats until they give us more orbs in the future, and then that'll just let us clear things a lot easier. So yeah, I guess one thing I could give you my opinions on after going through all of these, well, even you could watch mine through the story. So playing through the story is not the same as obviously doing it on the higher difficulties, but it'll give you an idea of the mechanics that like are going to happen. So in my opinion, and a lot of other people that I've been talking to, whether it's like streamers, YouTubers, and generally other video partners and everything, so Bamboo Legion and Bari are probably the two easiest ones. Yeah, I'm gonna do this, like, I'm just locked out, otherwise I would just do this now. This one is, I actually really like doing this one. It's not necessarily the easiest, but honestly, I think it's really just fun. The hardest ones, in my opinion, are probably this one, the giant over here. I have seen so many people just wipe on that, or just like, some of these bosses are just RNG based. So like, these two are probably what people consider the hardest. This one is not. Like, this one is hard, but it's like depends on what class you play. So if you're like an entry level person and you want to just learn these easier, I think the moon bosses, so like these three, are very good entry level ones. The three sun ones are like mid tier, and then the mountain ones are the three hardest ones. Obviously you can do them all, but just we're talking about the higher levels of bosses, and that's just my opinion. I think next week when we reset everything, I am gonna try this one again at C7. I think I could do it, but who knows. And then this one, I'm gonna try this one. And then probably these. Like, this one actually kind of tripped me up a little bit, the crow one. I guess another tip I can give you guys is, I know all of you guys are probably just doing fine, but one thing you guys should actually turn up is your effect opacity. Yes, I know if the higher it is, your FPS obviously goes down when you swing it, and FPS is everything in this game. But you kind of really want to turn this up to 100 when you're doing bosses, and it's kind of important. But other than that, those are some tips I can give you. If you have any questions on anything, I'll do my best to try to answer any sort of mechanics for every boss that you can do right now. I think, in my opinion, like the ones that I think most people will have questions on are probably this one, Sangoon, and well, actually all the mountain bosses are the ones that trip people up the most. Everything else is doable without too much of an issue. So happy to answer any questions you guys may have. Working on it. Just Pearl Abyss, raise this to 10 a week, and then we'll be good. But until then, hopefully you guys learned something. Check out the Elixir video and everything, and I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic day.